Well, the earliest recorded history seems to be that they were around Wisconsin and the Great Lakes, and then they were forced west. And many of them decided they were not going to go west, so they went to Canada, and some of them went down to Texas, and some went into Mexico. The Kickapoos of Texas, the Potawatomi fled from this area to avoid the Trail of Death. Chief Menominee's family.
Tell me a little bit about Chief Menominee. I haven't heard that much about him. I read a little bit about him. I know that he was here at the time of the removal, but tell me a little bit about him.
Well, he had a band around Twin Lakes, Marshall County, around Plymouth, and he refused to sign the treaty and sell his land. He and three other chiefs, had been given, I forget how many acres, and that was their land, and then he refused to sign, and they refused to sign too, but later the others decided they would go ahead and sign, because they figured if they didn't, they'd lose it anyway. Well, that's what happened with Menominee. When they rounded him up, they took him and his family, and so he lost the land, but they never got paid for it. The other chiefs got paid for it, but he didn't. Then some of the chiefs went to Washington, D.C. in 1837, and sometimes I've read that Menominee went too, but I'm not sure, because it's not well documented if he actually was with them. But there were some Potawatomi chiefs who went to Washington in 1837, and they went and signed another treaty and said that this is okay, what we did, because there was a lot of disagreement about whether those treaties done here on the Tippecanoe River were actually valid, because they'd given out so much whiskey to get them to sign it. They called the whiskey treaties. So there's also stories that when they sold the Indians things, they had a lot of traders. See, they'd set up cabins, and each one was like a little separate store, and all the Indian had to do was go in and sign his name, take whatever you wanted, because they knew they were going to get paid. Fort Wayne was a real fort, and they'd send over a wagon load of gold to pay them. So the Indians went very deeply in debt at the treaty grounds, and then, of course, after the treaty was signed, then the government was supposed to pay, and here come all the treaties. Well, this one trader says he owes me $1,000, and well, they owe me $6,000. They owe me $10,000. So most of the money went to the traders.
So when some of the Potawatomi said they'll go ahead and sign the treaty now because they may lose the land anyway, that sounds like a combination or somewhere in between gangsters and the mafia in terms of tactics. Any accuracy in that? I mean, when somebody gives you a deal that you can't refuse, and that's what those treaties sound like. I mean, I'm trying to put things in a context of today's terms.
I guess you could say that. I'd never thought of it before.